All right. So now we're doing FreeCodeCamp Legacy Python for everybody. Loops and iterations, and that's it. All right, so let's get to it.
Hello and
oh, that's so loud. That's always so loud.
Welcome to chapter.
Whoa, that's still so loud. I didn't push any buttons. Where's the volume button? It's right there. All right, there's that, and also don't forget to open the notes like I did. Don't be like me. Be like a cool guy. What were the notes? Desktop, right? Boom. Something notes. Python notes, I bet. Python notes. Boom. There we go. Get your notes open. Get ready. Let's go to the beginning and let's go. I said, let's go. Oh, and I'm not putting the logo up anymore. I don't know if there's like, I don't know if that's what's dragging the system down, but it's something.
Hello and welcome to Chapter 5, Loops and Iteration. Now we're going to work on our fourth basic pattern of sequential, conditional, store and reuse, and loops and iteration. And this is the one where we teach the computer how to do things a lot. We can tell it to do something a million times. And so that's where we get the doggedness of computers, or the fact that they're so good at doing work for us because we can set them off to a task and they'll do it until it's done. So here's a very simple loop.
Okie dokie. Let's check this out. And he's right about the computer doing repetitive tasks a million times. I bet in like a second, but we'll test that out at some point. Anyway, so let's look at this thing, and I think we should write it down too. What was it? Chapter something. Let's go.
They'll do it.
Loops, chapter 5, loops and iteration. Let's type that down right here. Chapter 5, loops and iteration. All right. So what are we doing, Dr. S?
Until it's...
There we go. All right. Well, he's in the middle of that. Let's look at this. So let's type this down. Well, we're going to have n equal 5. While n is greater than 0, I mean, it's 5 now. We're going to print n, and then we're going to say n minus 1. N equals n minus 1, effectively making this 4. And then that's still greater than 0, and it'll keep printing these out until it says blast off. True. Let's type this down because it's a good idea to type this down. What should we call it? Repeated steps. All right. First thing, repeated steps. All right. Let's tab this over. Let's go down 2 and tab this over. And let's see what we want to do here. So let's run the program. Let's take program here. Let's write the programs first, then we'll put the output. The program's going to be n minus 5, right? So we're saying, well, n equals 5. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, whatever. There we go. While, oops, tab it over 2. While n is greater than 0, we're going to tab it over 1 and say print. Oops, don't forget the, this thing. Not that thing, this thing, the colon, print in. All right. So print the number, whatever the number is at the moment. And then we're also going to say n equals n minus 1. All right. So this is going to keep going through. This is going to keep going through and printing in until n equals 0, because 0 is not greater than 0, right? So it'll go 5, print 4, print 3, print 2, print 1, just like it says right here. Print 5, print 4, print 3, print 2, print 1. And then after it's done, it'll be done with, the while loop will be done with 1. And this is what it's called, a while loop. And then since this thing is done, it goes to the next thing, which prints blast off. And then it prints in again, and we'll see n is actually 0 right now. That's why it didn't print here, but we did make it print here. Okay. And then here's the little flow chart. Okay, let's finish this up. Print. And I'm just saying, let's finish printing, like typing this out, just so we can have like, you know, some practice typing code, because this literally will do exactly what we're telling it to do. And there's that. Let's go over here and say print in. All right. So this is an actual program. Let's comment this part out because it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Boom. Let's be very literal. This is the program, right? And then we tab this over too while we're at it. Boom, boom. All right. So what else are we going to do? We're going to say the output over here. Output. And since that's on the same line, we don't have to put the hashtag. We'll say down here, tab it over, 5, 4. That's not 4. That's not good either. Oh yeah. Okay. okay. 4, 3, 2. Whoa, come on now. Tab 1. Tab, blast off. And then tab, backspace 0. All right. So yeah, that's basically how that goes. So loops or repeated steps have iteration variables that change each time through a loop, okay? Often these iteration variables go through a sequence of numbers. So the loops or repeated steps, yes, that's because this is being repeated 5 times, right? It starts at 5, then goes to 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 times, have iteration variables. So iteration, each time it happens, that's one iteration, all right? Just let you know, if you've never seen this word before, because at some point, like in the past 2 years, I've never seen this either. So, you know, have iteration variables that change each time through the loop. Often these iteration variables, and I think that's this, the in is the iteration variable. Often these iteration variables go through a sequence of numbers. And I guess that's why in and this are green, okay? So yeah, whatever. Here's the flow chart. In's greater than 5. Is in greater than 0? No, it prints blast off. Yes, it prints in. And then it says in is now in minus 1, which makes it 4. So 4, is it still greater? And blah, 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 over and over and over, 5 times until the 6th time on blast off. And then it prints in right here. All right, so that's what he's going to say right now.
Let's put the coffee over here. The keyword that we're going to start using is the while loop. We're also going to use the for later on.
Yes.
And the while loop functions very much like an if statement. The while starts it, and then this is just like an if statement. It's a question that leads to a true or a false answer. And then there's a colon, and then there's an indented block, and then we use the de-indent to determine how long the loop is, and so this print is de-indented, so that indicates the end of the loop. And so at some level, what's going to happen here is it's just going to run, and if this is true, it's going to run this code, and if it's false, it's going to skip the code. In that way, it functions like an if. The place that it doesn't function like an if is after it's run the code once, it goes up and then asks the question again. And so you can think of it going back up kind of to the top of the while loop and then re-asking the question, like, okay, is this going to run again? And then it's going to do that some number of times, and then it's going to finish. And so that's the loop. That's the...
Yeah, I don't know if I specified that either, but yeah, that's what a while loop does. It just it says whatever, it does whatever this thing is, all right, and then it'll go and do it again. And there's these things called like infinite loops. Like, let's say we didn't do this, okay, and all we did was print in, it would just print 5 until the computer crashed. It would just stop doing anything, and it would just keep doing 5 forever. So yeah, those are infinite loops, and he'll talk about those too.
The iteration. And we're going to make a variable. We're going to construct very carefully a variable that we call the iteration variable, and that's n. And it's a variable that's going to change, and it's our way of running the loop, but not running the loop forever. So let's just run this. We come in, and it's 5. Is n greater than 0? Yes, it is. So we're going to run this code. So we're going to run this code. We're going to print out 5, then we're going to subtract 1, and then we're going to go back up and ask the question, is n greater than 0? And the answer is, since it's 4, the answer is yes. So then it runs again. Then it prints out 4, subtracts it again, checks, prints 3, subtracts it again, prints 2, subtracts it again, prints 1, subtracts it again. Now n is 0, and so it comes back up. Is this question has now become false? So it's going to take the exit. So it's going to come down and run this line right here. Then it prints blast off, and we can kind of print out the residual value of n just to sort of prove to ourselves that it ran until n was no longer greater than 0, and then 0 was the final value for n. And we carefully constructed this n equals, oops.
There it is.
We carefully constructed n. We set it to 5. Then we carefully subtracted 1 each time through the loop. And then we're using that to control when to exit the loop. And so you could think of this loop as, for now, running 5 times, true, 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 and then false, finally.
True.
So this question was true for a while, and as long as it was true, the loop ran. And then when it turned false, the loop stopped. And so this variable that we construct to control the loop was called the iteration variable, because it tells how many times this loop is going to run over and over, or otherwise known as iterate. So this is a badly constructed loop with an iteration variable that we didn't do very well.
Let's write this down. And let's answer this question. So let's grab the notes first and foremost. Boom. All right. An infinite loop. That's what we're doing. And that's not it. An infinite loop. All right. N is going to equal 5. So we'll say, I guess program. No, we don't need any program. So we'll say n equals 5. While n is greater than 0, we will say print, come on now, print lather. What's the good way to select all this beforehand? Well, whatever, we'll do it like this. And then we'll change this to rinse. Rinse, boom, up, don't forget the capital. And don't forget the, oh yeah, we got to tab these over. Boom, boom. And then don't forget right here, we're going to say print dry off, exclamation point. And there we go. Right there. Finally. All right. So basically what this is doing is it's saying, while n is equal to 5, print lather, print rinse, but without saying something like this right here, it's just going to it's going to be 5 forever, right? So it'll just go and keep going and keep going and keep going. And then the computer will crash. And that's how that works. Let's hear it directly from Dr. Severance, Dr. Charles Severance himself.
Well, and so if we take a look at this, we start it with n5, and then this is greater than 0, so it's true, so it runs it, and then it runs it again, and n is still greater than 0. So you can pretty much see, because we're not changing n, this is going to be true, 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 dot, 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 forever, true forever. And so this is an infinite loop. And it's just going to run until your computer runs out of battery, or you hit the button.
Forgot to go over this, but yes, that's how it's going on right here. Let's back it up. 1, 2, no, just 1. So, pardon me. Like here, yes, 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 yes. Never changes. Always yes, forever.
And it's just going to run until your computer runs out of battery, or you hit the button.
Exactly.
This is the kind of thing where you often see your computer spinning like a spinning beach ball, or some other indication that your computer's super busy. It's in some kind of a loop, really tight, and it's running something, and it's using up all of the processing resources of your computer. That's an infinite loop.
There we go.
And so the problem is we did nothing with the iteration variable.
True.
Now here's a different loop.
All right, let's write this down. While n is greater than 0, dry off. Yeah, so this wouldn't run at all. Let's write it down just to get some practice. Writing down loops, right? That's why we do this, to get a little extra practice, a little extra experience. We've all played video games. We know what experience points is. Our experience points are. Let's do this. Another loop. Another loop. Boom. We'll say n equals 0. Come on now. And why don't we just take this whole thing? Boom. Copy that. Throw it right here. This is going to be 0, and the rest is going to be the thing. Yeah, so this one doesn't do anything because it's already equaling 0 and not greater than. So this is just skip and go to say dry off. Let's go.
And so this one demonstrates a
Here we go, the flow chart. N equals 0. Is n greater than 0? No. Print dry off. That's how it works.
different idea. So in this case, we start out with n is 0, and it comes in here, and is n greater than 0? Question mark, and the answer is false. So it skips it. It doesn't run these lines of code at all. And so this loop doesn't run at all because it comes in, asks the question, it says no, and then it skips right around it. So never run, never run.
Yep.
And so this actually is, sometimes you write a while loop on purpose like this, not quite as simple as this one, but the idea is this emphasizes that these loops are what we call zero trip.
Zero
They
trip
are not even
loops.
guaranteed to run once. They're going to run maybe 0 times. And in this respect, it functions exactly like an if statement, right? Meaning the first time through the loop, if it's not true, it's just going to skip right by it.
True. I can't think of any reasons why. I think I've done a couple in Code Wars, but I can't remember exactly why or how. But we'll get to all that stuff. There's plenty of practice out there. Plenty of these to practice on. So breaking out of a loop. The break statement ends the current loop and jumps to the statement immediately following the loop. It is like a loop test that can be typed on our little notes. What am I doing? All right, let's go. Breaking out of a loop. Breaking out of a loop. Boom. Let's do this right here. How about that? The break statement ends the current loop and jumps to the statement immediately following the loop. Boom. Let's move this over to here where it usually is. Now we'll come down here and we'll see the next thing. It's like a loop test that can happen anywhere in the body of the loop. All right, let's do an example. Example, period, this thing, tab once. How about that? Actually, go down 2 and tab. Let's say while true, line, whoa, this is not a text editor. Line equals input. All right, and then we'll have the right facing angle bracket, not right facing, the right angle bracket, the right pointed angle bracket. Anyway, whatever. And a space. Boom. And then if, hold on, that's not it either. If line double equals, and then we'll say done, we will say break right here, print line. All right, and then we'll have, no. Yeah, and then we'll have right here, print. I'm so busy trying to type this out correctly that I have no idea what I'm writing. So we'll have to go over this. You know what I mean? I know you've been there. So let's come over here and do, I guess, the output. So let's have this angle bracket. Hello there. Let's see, there's a space there. Hello there. Down here, down here we'll do hello there. Then we'll say angle bracket finished. All right, hold on. All right, hold on. Okay, here we go. And then we'll say finished. Then we'll do done. And then we'll do done. All right, so what the hell, what's going on here? All right, and do we really need this? I don't think we need these spaces now that I look at this. All right, cool. Yes, we do. All right, cool. All right, so while true, line equals input this. Okay. If line double equals done, we'll break. And then we'll print line. So this will break us out of the loop. That is true. So we'll have this while true. If line double equals done, this is done, yes. Input. Oh, so this is the input thing, and then we're typing hello there. And then if it's not done, we will just print whatever was printed. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. I see. I see. So it's going to say, it's going to do the input thing that we've done before. It'll say input, and it'll wait for you to say something and press enter. And then whatever you say, it'll be printed unless you print lowercase done. And if you do press lowercase done, it'll break out of the loop and it'll print done like this. And that's what's going on here. Here's a prompt. Here's an input prompt. And then it types what we say. Input prompt types what we say. Input prompt types finish. Let's watch him say it a little bit more academically.
So there's a couple of ways of getting out of loops. In this case, I'm constructing an infinite loop because remember the kind of definition of an infinite loop is if this is going to stay true. Well, true is the constant true. So this is going to run forever. And what it's going to do is it's going to prompt with a little arrow and then let us type and read whatever we type into the variable line. And then if the line is done, we're going to break. Now, break is an executable statement. And if you hit the break, it exits the innermost loop out to the place beyond the end of the loop. So when this runs the first time, and we say hello there, line is not done, so it prints it. So it prints out hello there and then goes up. And then we type in again, we type finished, and so it's not done, so it prints it. So now comes that print statement. And then we type in done, and now this becomes true. And it comes out and runs the code beyond the end of the loop. The key is it doesn't go back. It's like once you've done a break, that loop is done.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't say it, but that's why I say that as we're breaking out of the loop, right? It's just like breaking out of prison, breaking out of some sort of confined a cage, breaking out of a hole, or I don't know, breaking out of a loop. That's for sure.
And so you look at basically, the block that is the loop. So here's kind of the loop block, and then the break goes to the line after the end of the loop block.
True.
And you can think of this as sort of like...
We can. No, also, we can type this down. So let's go do that. Let's say example 2. Let's call this example 2. Example 2. And then we'll say down here, while true. Is it the same thing? It's the same thing. We'll just take all this, copy it. It's the same thing. Why even bother? Yeah, why even bother? It's the same thing. All right.
just a hyperspace.
Hold on. Let me fix this. It's the exact same thing. Boom. All right, let's go back.
Jump. There is nothing.
Here we go.
And you can think of this as sort of like just a hyperspace jump. There is nothing really. This could be literally hundreds of lines with if statements, and you could be running and doing all kinds of stuff and running and doing all these things, you know, and these things could run all kinds of ways, right?
Hyperspace.
The point is as soon as you hit a break statement, however much stuff is down here, however much stuff is up here, it exits to whatever the next line is beyond the end of the loop. Continue is another.
All right. Let's write this down. Why not? Turn 9 minutes into 40, right? How much? We're at 25 minutes right now. All right. Let's write this down. So what do we got? Finishing an iteration with continue. You got it. Finishing an iteration with continue. All right. So what we're going to type here is the continue statement. Not like that though. The continue statement ends the current iteration and jumps to the top of the loop and starts the next iteration. All right. Let's read that and then let's go on to the example. Let's set the example up while we're at it though. Example. All right. Like that. All right. So the continue statement ends the current iteration and jumps to the top of the loop and starts the next iteration. Okay. So if line 0 equals hashtag, so that's the position. We haven't gone over those yet, but I'll show you right now. This is like a string. Okay, this is a string, right? We know that the inputs are strings whenever we input stuff. So this is string at position 0. The positions start at every string. The first letter or symbol or value, character, whatever in a string is always going to be at position 0. And then we've got the space at position 1, the D's at position 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever, if you count them up and you subtract 1, that's what position the thing's at. All right. If you count up the characters and then whatever. And spaces count as characters too. And sometimes if you got multi-line things, I think the line breaks count as I don't know if they do. Anyway, let's go. So here's this. Let's type it out. While true, we'll say line equals input. All right, do that. And then we'll have the angle bracket and the space, all right? The right angle bracket, because it's the one on the right hand side when we're typing. All right, let's just call it that. Let's say if line at 0, so the first position, whatever characters at the first position, double equals hashtag, the string hashtag, we will, what are we doing? We're going to say continue. We will continue. All right. Now, if line double equals done, we'll say break. All right, we'll break out of the thing. And then if neither of those is the case, we'll just say print the line. And this is the line variable, right? And then we'll get out of the loop because, and then once we've, okay, line, hold on. Line. So then once we break out of the loop, we're going to print done. Thusly. All right. So there we go. So let's do the next part. This is so whatever, get your hands on the keyboard or get your hands on the shovel. All right, let's do this. So we're going to say, is this, I can't tell. Yeah, I can. I've got a level right here. What am I talking about? All right, they're not even on the same lines at all. All right, so we'll just start here on while true. How about that? We'll say angle bracket, hello there. All right, then we'll have, not that. We'll have hello there. Then we'll do hashtag don't print this. All right, so that won't print anything. Then we'll have print this. All right, and so this will print this, okay? And then we're going to have done, die equals, done, and then we'll come down here and we'll do done, like usual. Could we have taken this thing? Maybe, but you know what? I didn't think about it until just now. All right, so there's that. So yeah, while the line input is, if the line is hashtag, we're not going to print it, so we don't print this. We just continue through. If the line equals done, we'll break out. Here's done. We break out and we say done at the end of it. And if it's neither of those things, like print this or hello there, we'll just print that out. All right, because of the print line right here. All right, so let's hear Dr. Severance tell us.
Loop control statement, but it works.
Whoa!
Continue is another loop control statement, but it works differently than break. So break says get out of this loop. Continue effectively says stop this iteration. We're done with this iteration. And so continue says go up back to the top of the loop. Oops. Yeah. Go up back to the top of the loop.
Yep.
And so here we read a line. If the first character is a pound sign, line sub 0, if that first character is pound sign, we're going to skip it.
True.
And this is a way for us to make like little comments in our typing. And then we print, if the line is done, we get out, and otherwise we print it. And so that's why there is no printout here, because it comes in, runs, oops.
What's that?
It comes in, hit, this is true, and then it goes back up. But it comes back and prints out the next one and does another thing. And so the loop continues, whereas the break ends the loop. And so again, the same kind of notion that you're sort of doing all kinds of complex.
Without that stuff though. Oh no. Is there a way? Is there a way? There we go. Okay. So yeah, let's look at this. True. So it's going to be true. Yes, it's true. Blah, 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 and do it again. True. All right. True. This is true. This is a true statement. This is a true statement. This is a false statement. Break is false. I guess that's what it's saying. Let's go.
That you're sort of doing all kinds of complexity. Wherever you're at in this loop, you hit continue, and it doesn't go any further. It goes back up and runs the question mark. It asks the question mark. And,
oh yeah.
And so
that's what he's talking about.
Question, and it might exit the loop in that particular case. But this one here is a true. This is an infinite loop that I've constructed.
Back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here. Okay. So yeah, I missed that totally. So true. Yes, it's true. Okay. It does. It asks you another thing. If it's like in this case, if it's this, we'll continue. So it stops. It doesn't go through and to do the print line. It just stops right there. It just stops the loop and does another iteration until it hits break or continue again, and it'll do this, or it'll break out and do that. No, it's going to be true no matter what. So it'll break out. It'll say break. Does break make it false? Where's the break on here? Hey, whatever. So I don't think the break makes it false. I think break makes it exit all totally exit. Anyway, whatever.
That you're sort of doing all kinds of complexity. Wherever you're at in this loop, you hit continue, and it It doesn't go any further. It goes back up and runs the question mark. It asks the question mark. And so, I mean, ask the question, and it might exit the loop in that particular case. But this one here is this is an infinite loop that I've constructed. This is not an infinite loop because at some point the break gets us out of the loop. And so it's an infinite loop with break to escape it. And that's another common way to construct a loop. So these loops that we've been drawing.
Hold on. All right, here, let's type this up. Infinite loops, indefinite loops, I say. Indefinite loops. There we go. Bring that down because I gotta. That's not it. Indefinite loops. There we go. So let's say while loops are called indefinite loops. While loops. Okay. Because they keep going until a logical condition becomes false. Very true, all right? So this is these kind of while loops when it's talking about that. When it's saying while loops, like right there. Let's say the next thing, which is the loops we have seen so far are pretty easy to examine to see if they will terminate, or if they will be infinite loops. All right. And sometimes it is a little harder to be sure if a loop, that's too many O's, loop will terminate. Okay, so let's read this stuff. While loops are called indefinite loops because they keep going until a logical condition becomes false. True, it's just like this one, but this one is an infinite loop until it breaks out, so it's definitely still indefinite. Yeah. The loops we have seen so far are pretty easy to examine to see if they will terminate or if they will be infinite loops. I guess they've been pretty easy. This is a pretty easy one. Yeah, this is a pretty easy one too. Okay, I believe that. Sometimes it is a little harder to be sure if loops will terminate. Yes, I've done a lot of code wars, so maybe?
Drawing so far, the ones that use while. So these loops that we've been drawing so far, the ones that use while as their keyword, are what are called indefinite loops. And that's because they kind of go for a while, till a break hits or until some value becomes true. I mean, as long as that value remains true. So all the ones we've done so far are easy to look at and know that they look pretty good and they're probably going to finish. But there are sometimes, if they're long and complex and their exit or termination conditions are a little more complex, it's not clear that they're really going to terminate. And so we can use while loops for a lot of things, but for most of our looping, we're going to use what are called definite loops, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Oh, that's all right, cool, awesome. So that was a good one. 38 minutes, jeez. Well, whatever, for like a 10-minute freaking video, but whatever, writing that stuff down is important. All right, what will the following code print out? So in's going to be 0, while true. If in is greater than 3, we're going to break. Print in, all right? In equals in plus 1. So it'll start with 0 for sure, and in's got to be 3 to break out. So 0, then it'll go to 1 to 2, like this. And when it hits 3, it'll break out before it prints it. So 0, 1, 2, I believe. I know it's this one. Let's check the answer. There we go. And 20%. How many videos have we done? How many hours of these videos have I done so far? Anyway, and submit it. Let's go. All right. So now we're on to iterations, definite loops, and we'll see you next time.